Parsha 101, Haftorah 101. This week's Haftarah is for Parshas Bereishis, the very first Torah portion of the Torah, and so the very first Haftarah of the Torah. And it's from the book of Isaiah, the book of Yeshaya, and specifically, Bereishis speaks about the creation of the world. It's the starting point of everything, as in time creation as we know it. And this week's Haftorah from the book of Isaiah begins with the statement of God who has created heaven and earth, and he's created all life, etc. So there's a parallel between this assertion that everything comes from God. God is the one who created everything, and he is the ruler and controller of all. And it goes on in a little bit more poetic language than just a story or just words of comfort, speaking about how God has laid out, he's given the Torah to the Jewish people to be a light, that we're supposed to bring light to the people. We have to open the eyes that are blind, and those who are like prisoners in the darkness, to bring light to them, etc. This is the whole purpose of everything, which again aligns with this week's Torah portion of why did God create the world, not just to like, oh look, a pretty world over here. There's a purpose to it all. There's a point to all of it. And this point was supposed to be kept by all, but eventually, because people started going their own way, there was one specific family was designated to remind everybody what the point of it all is, and to keep and guard the Torah and make sure that the message of the Torah gets out there. And it's going to go on to speak about also the end of days, which again is part of the whole point of everything, that we're going to bring about this messianic time. God created this world that we're supposed to uplift and elevate and bring to the perfection of the messianic time through the work that we do in Torah mitzvot. And at that time, it also describes that God is not going to hold back his wrath or his anger anymore. And all the nations that oppress the Jewish people, God is going to basically let them have it. And may God let that happen also, even before we get to messianic times, which should also be now. And just how he's going to punish anybody and everybody, all the nations who oppress us throughout the long years of exile. And it continues. It does have a little bit of rebuke for the Jewish people who kind of forgot about what the whole point of everything is and forgot to adhere to the whole point of all of creation. And it does end with the comfort of we'll all be brought back in again. It's going to be messianic times, etc. And the last line is actually a pretty familiar line. It says, Hashem chafetz l'man tzidko yagdol Torah v'yadir. We say when the Torah is lifted, we say it's part of, but we say by Pirkei Avos, it's part of Rabbi Hananya ben Akasha. It's part of a larger section there. But this is where the line comes from, where it says, God desires, for the sake of his righteousness, that the Torah be made great and glorious. And some people put in there, that's not just the sake of his righteousness, it's that for the sake of the Jewish people, that Torah should be made great and glorious. And there's so many dynamics to that, but a lot of it is that Torah makes us great and glorious, and we make Torah great and glorious through the keeping of it. It's this kind of mutual elevation that occurs through the keeping of the Torah. So, of course, there's many details to this Haftorah, but the general idea of it is that God created the world, God created it for a purpose, and it's our job to recognize, maintain, uphold, and see through that purpose, which is all connected to and about Torah mitzvahs and spreading the godly light to the world.